Hey there, I'm Sarah Zarella, a portrait and wedding photographer and your host for Wedding Secrets Unveiled. This is a podcast where we cut through the complexity of wedding planning, leaving you with everything you need to know directly from the industry experts. If you want to simplify your wedding planning while having fun, of course, you came to the right place. Join me while I guide you through your planning, starting from your engagement to your big day when you say, I do. After photographing for over 20 years, I am sharing with you tips and tricks to cut through the excess noise. Because I believe from the moment you said yes, your planning experience should be a magical time in your life. Here you'll find episodes that are fun, stress-free, and straight to the point with a fresh, honest take on the reality of what you really need to know about planning your perfect day. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Wedding Secrets Unveiled podcast, friends. I'm your host, Sarah Zarella, and today I am joined by two amazing stylists from Alexandra's boutique. I will be talking with both Perry and Justine, and we are going to talk about wedding dress shopping. Listen, when you are shopping for your wedding dress, it literally is going to be the most important garment that you will ever purchase in your life. And just like Perry says in this episode, it is your 8-year-old self buying that dress. This is a 100% an emotional purchase. And it's a fun purchase. So if you are thinking about your wedding dress and you are in the process of looking for that perfect dress, this is the podcast episode for you. Well, welcome back to Wedding Secrets Unveiled podcast, friends. Well, hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
I am so excited to have you guys here. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it because this is definitely a subject that I have been wanting to talk about for a while, and I've been definitely wanting to have you all on because for those listeners who are wondering who I'm speaking to, we are speaking to two stylists from a very popular bridal boutique. So for our listeners, can you tell them who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
Hi, my name is Perry. I work at Alexandra's boutique. We are the premier bridal salon in New England. I've been with the company for 6 years, and I could gush on and on about how fantastic we are and how amazing our brides are.
And I'm Justine, and we also are VIP stylists, so we do all of the VIP appointments as well.
Ooh, what's VIP, Justine?
So basically, it's a 3-hour experience. You get this dramatic curtain, you get some champagne, charcuterie. You know, it's we only have one room, so it's kind of very more upscale, which is nice.
I love that.
It's a new addition. When we reopened in 2019, we expanded to our 3rd floor. We have been in business for 38 years, all on the same street. We've had 3 physical business moves, all on the same street in Fall River.
Yes, I know. I mean, you've been around. I mean, I've been in the industry for 25 years. I mean, I know the owner. You know, like, I mean, is she still there?
Yeah, Fatima. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Absolutely, right. Like,
yes.
Still, like, but when I say like, I know she's still there, but I'm saying like, is she still like on the floor, like? Very, because she was always had her hands on everything.
She's taken a bit of a backseat now to more buying and overall operations, but she's still very involved. Like, this is her baby, and it's amazing to see a woman-owned business for so long survive so, like, flourishing.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, there has to come a point, and that's why I asked if she's like literally like there. I know she has her hands on everything, but it's just having such a thriving business. And I've watched her just expand and expand. And not only has she expanded, and it's your reputation is still following you. Because a lot of times when businesses expand, sometimes like, you know, customer service or things might fall the wayside. Absolutely not. You know, Alexandra Boutique is top notch. I see it with all of my brides. Most of the dresses are coming from there, and they have nothing but wonderful things to say. So I was wondering, I'm like, she cannot be doing it all at this point. She has to rely on people like yourself, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, we have a very strong team to help support and run the business, and we grow every day, and we need more bodies every single day. Her son has really taken a huge addition to the business, Zach. He is absolutely, I don't think the business could run without him at this point. He's amazing. And, you know, I am our marketing coordinator as well as still being a bridal stylist. So I have many hands in making sure that we get out there and get our good name. And I think in general, you know, we are as we always say, an experience-focused boutique. So it's really not just about the dresses. It's about making sure that brides feel amazing and that they look amazing and that it's like their day in Disneyland, but for, you know, this very important part of your life.
Exactly. And I know that we're such a big boutique, but we're still family owned. And, you know, I think that's what makes it so special and unique. We don't just want to be, you know, every other bridal salon. We just want it to be very exclusive and just make it a full experience and know that they're coming to a good home.
And that's why I meant, like, of course, we knew that Fatima is still there. But I'm saying, like, there. Like, it's meaning it's nice to know that her son's involved now. Like, I think when people come from your boutique, yes, they have a beautiful dress, but they have a beautiful experience. And like you said, that comes a lot with the team and still it being family owned. There's something to be said about that. How many people are on your team?
Roughly about, 20, you know, with managers and stylists for our bridal side.
So it's a well-oiled machine going on over there, right?
Oh, yeah. We have, multiple floors. We have multiple dressing rooms. Each is very unique to one section, which is really nice.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. How many dresses do you guys stock? Like, roughly how many dresses do you think are in Fatima's inventory?
Those are two different questions. I think the running number right now is 4,000. Is that what we were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And most boutiques that you go to are not going to have that amount of inventory. And that's why we are the largest in New England, which is really special.
I was going to say, I mean, in New England, you don't see that type of inventory often. So there's something to be said with that. All right. So let's get into it. The meat and potatoes of why we're here, right? Talk to me. What is a bridal stylist?
I think a lot of people, I think I'll start just saying, what people think that we are. And I think a lot of people think that we are just sort of a sales associate that is there to, guide them and make it just so they don't have to go shopping themselves, that they can kind of get them in and out of the dresses, et cetera. But really, truly, this is a career that is very emotionally driven. I don't think you start this because you just want to make money like other sales positions. And I don't think you start this because you just need something to do. Like, this is a labor of love, and there is that feeling in every single appointment you walk into where you do want to make this the best day ever. You do want to make a woman feel beautiful, and you do want them to have this moment just feel so special, because it really is. This is the singularly most self-expressive garment you're ever going to purchase. And, I always say, like, I am here as a stylist to empower and to guide. I want you to feel powerful when you walk in here. I want you to feel, the most beautiful you ever had, the most like royal, gorgeous, stunning, any word you want to use. And I want it to come from a place that is so authentically beautiful from you. And I do believe that this is not something that you can just decide one day to pick up. It's a job of passion. And truly, at the end of the day, I think I wish people knew that more.
Yeah. And truly, we don't just say, okay, cool, you booked your appointment and that's it. Then you'll meet us, come in. We do our research. We reach out to the brides. We send them a very cute, hi, I'm your bridal stylist. We email them, reaching out with inspiration photos, really learning their budget, what vibe it is for their wedding. We really get to know them on more of a personal level and really get to know who they are as people even before they walk through the door. We already have, thoughts exactly what we're going to pull them before they even walk in. We really just truly love our jobs.
This is I think the thing that's going to explain what we do the best. Justine, have you ever gotten off a phone call with a bride and thought like, oh yeah, this is going to be her dress, and then it ends up being her dress?
Absolutely. It's like, cool, I'll pull you more, but girl, this is your dress.
See, I can tell you just by like the 5 minutes that I've been sitting across here talking to you, what you guys have, you can't train, you can't you have to have it. It's right there. I can already tell the love and the passion that you have, and you are right. I mean, it's a very, very emotionally driven industry, and the component that you work with and you deal with is very emotional. And you couldn't have said it better, Perry, that your wedding dress is the most important garment you'll ever buy in your life. And Justine, it's so funny that you quiz yourself each time, and like 90% of the time you're right. It's just that you must actually, because of what you guys do, you must look at someone's day and set up, and then just already know what type of dress you're gonna see the pictures on the next slide when you're scrolling through, just by like the vibe of the day. You have to, because like the day, and the reason why I say this as a photographer, like what someone's room looks like and the flowers they pick and the colors, that all right there is a personality in itself, right? So, I mean, you must see that all the time. Like, you must know roughly, like, the bride's going to be wearing something like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, we also ask what their venue is, too, because that also helps us picture. For me, I used to be an event planner. I used to kind of do all of that. So for me, I want to be able to picture that day. I want to be able to picture her walking down the aisle. I want, that dramatic moment. I want to see all the colors come to life. Like, I want to see all of that. And that is what we try to put in their brains, to be like, let's envision the whole day, because it's not just, oh, cool, I'm trying on a dress. You're trying on your wedding dress. You're trying on something that is just so special that you're not going to Target trying on dresses. That is easy. This just has to come off a little bit more emotional.
I think the funny thing between Justine and I is she does have that more event planning background, and that makes so much sense hearing you say that, because I am 100% such like a fashion girly. I do this because I love fashion and I love making people feel amazing. And I feel like I've had brides tell me their venue and they're like, well, it's a beach wedding. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, do you feel beautiful? Do you feel like a bride? Like, I don't care that we are getting married on a beach. If we want to be in a ball gown, we're going to be in a ball gown. It's going to be full of sand, but we're going to be in a ball gown, I think which I think for me is so much more important, because I watch people just get so overtaken by all the expectations of their day. And I'm sure you see this too as a photographer, like where you watch them talking and they're like, well, we have to get this shot because it's the Pinterest photo. And it's like, yeah, we can. But did that feel authentic to you? Have you ever stood like that in your life? So it's the same thing for me. I feel like I'm very focused on making sure that their fashion and that what they're wearing is representative
of them. Yeah. I mean, it does resonate in the photos and just their overall demeanor of the day. If they don't feel comfortable in that dress, it just pours out of them. I can tell you, 99% of the time, everybody feels comfortable in their dress. I mean, every now and then you'll have somebody I can just tell that doesn't. But as soon as they put it on, they're like, just it's like they light up. The energy. It's like, oh, we're here now. Okay, Just as a side note, just throwing this out there, like just a random tidbit, but like I'm laughing because of what we're talking about, but I'm laughing at myself because being a photographer and being in the industry, and when I got married, it'll be 10 years ago, this year, I've been doing this for 20-something years. So I was in the industry for quite some time when I got married, right? And I always said, like, I'm not going to be a diva when I get married. And I really don't. Like, Dan was at my wedding. Like, I just lived in the moment. I always said, you have to live in the moment. That's the most important thing. But can we just talk about what the hell I did when I was searching for my dress? Like, diva
so
moment, right? I flew to Philadelphia. Yeah. I flew there.
Wow.
And I say that because it's like that is just so out of character for me. Like, as far as you talk about, Perry, how you're into fashion, and Justine, you talk about like you're in the wedding planning end of things. But like I understand that might be a normal thing for some people to fly and do all or go to these different bridal boutiques. But for me, that was really out of character. If I ever told anybody I did that, they'd be like, what? Like, because why I did that is there was a designer of a dress that I saw in a magazine, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with that dress, and I had to call around to see who had that designer, and nobody did locally. And there was this place called the Little Wedding Shop out in Pennsylvania who had that at the time, that designer. And I flew there thinking I was going to wear the dress that I saw in the magazine, right? I flew there, right? I did wear that designer, but not that dress. Not that dress. And it's so funny because the stylist, right? showed up. She had the dress that I flew out, but she also had the other one. She knew before I even knew that I was going to wear that dress. And I remember seeing it on the hanger. I'm like, no, but I want this one. But the one that I put on was too much clothing for me. Does that make sense? It was too much fabric. I'm a short girl. It overtook me. And still to this day, 10 years later, I love my dress still. And we're going to talk about this later in the podcast, styles and trends. The style of my dress right now, I am literally photographing brides right now, pretty much wearing the exact same dress. So it's interesting. Yeah, full circle. Comes around. Mm-hmm. I also went very, very classic and very simple. But yeah, sure, fine. That doesn't go in and out of style. It's just kind of but it's literally like the style is back now 10 years later, which we're going to talk a little bit later about style. But before we get into that, I just wanted to share that knowledge. I just want to let you know that I was amazing. A diva and I flew on a plane to get my dress, people.
We always say to brides too, like once that ring goes on, you're a whole other person.
Yes, girl. I flew to get my freaking dress. Come on now. There's
something about that diamond going on that just changes your brain chemistry. I don't know what it's like.
I'm wearing pants from Temu right now. Not kidding. All right. And I flew to get my dress. Like a plane ticket, flew. Yeah.
I mean, whatever's important to you on that day is what you need to do,
Fair. All right. So break it down to me, right? What are some things that you would love just to tell a bride?
I always tell my brides, always like it is, no matter what. Because I am just such a real person when it comes down to it. I'm like, listen, I've been through it. I just got married myself last year. My best friend's getting married this year. Anything that I can provide, especially being in the industry for so long, honestly, it's just how you feel, right? No matter, like Perry even said, like, I don't care if you're doing a ball gown on the beach. If that feels more like you, just do it. I even had a bride today that was like, I had in my head that all I wanted was sparkle and lace. And she just tried on a simple gown. And she's like forcing herself to like lace. I'm like, girl, stop trying to force yourself to like lace. You just love the clean look on you. And that's okay. We can bedazzle it up with some, bracelets, earrings, the whole 9 yards, your veil. And don't try to force yourself to like something that you don't. You just have to be more true to who you are and how you feel. If that dress feels more special to you than lace and sparkle, great. Go with that feeling. Go with that emotion. I always say it's emotion-based. You don't have to be bawling your eyes out, but one's going to feel more special.
I think I was saying this weekend a lot, and I feel like I have never said this before, but this is so true. The person who's shopping for your wedding dress is not you. You, the adult person who pays their taxes and writes a grocery list every week and bought their car because it was the best value in Kelley Blue Book. The person who's buying your wedding dress is you at 8.
Yes.
You are the little girl sitting there going, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a pretty dress on and he's going to be handsome and we're going to smooch. Like that's the girl who's buying your wedding dress, not the person who is sensibly looking at things. And I think that it's really hard to shut that off, and I will never sit here and go like, just do it, because it's hard, But I think that this has such a feelings-based thing. Like you said, you needing to fly out and see that one dress, there was not a single shred of sense in that.
No,
but it's the little 8-year-old you was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have my princess moment, and it's going to be perfect.
And the thing is, like, the designer was an Italian designer, right? And it ended up being a very well-known designer. I didn't know that. I just was looking at a magazine like, that's the dress. And then I had to research the designer. But now I've since learned, like, oh, I had a good taste in my designer. Okay. But, like, no. Like, what was – I remember even being on the plane being like, I am flying to get a garment that I'm going to wear one day.
Yeah. I think we're not surprised because we have that a lot. Yep. We have a lot of brides who will come in from out of state specifically because we have designers, because their family's close, because they want to come see us because we are so big and so beautiful. And that is not crazy to hear. Yeah. I mean, I think my number one advice always is don't overcomplicate this.
Right. Exactly.
At the end of the day, this should be easy. It should feel easy. It should feel fun. This should not be like the most stressful thing for you. And I understand that it's a priority for people, and it absolutely is to me. I mean, please, I've been doing this for 6 years, but it shouldn't be this like pulling your hair out, like, I've been to 17 stores. I've done hours of research. I have a PowerPoint. And like, if you need all those things to feel safe and comfortable, I respect it. But truthfully, just letting yourself just have the moment, staying in the moment is the part that's going to be the most valuable thing for you in the long term. And I guess leading off of, our don't overcomplicate this, I guess 3 specific things that we really wish we could tell our brides are, starting from the top, number 1, to don't overshop. Number 2, to make sure you are doing your research. And number 3, I think this one's the most important, is just to be honest and ask questions. I think, Justine is my favorite to talk about the overshopping thing.
Yes. Basically, when you first come in, especially if it's your first time, right, we go through the process. We make sure that you are seeing a little bit of everything. That way you feel fulfilled. I don't want there to be a question of, I wish I tried this on. So we're seeing different straps, different necklines. Just in the first 5 dresses, you can pretty much tell what you're going to at least like on yourself. At least your shape or maybe, the neckline, and then start to break it down from that point. We don't have to show our girls a million dresses, We just talk it through with them. Okay, like, how are you feeling in this? Like, what are we liking about this, and this? And as you're talking, and as long as you're honest, we will be able to pull what you're looking for.
Yeah, because you know your inventory. And
like the back of our hand.
Right. So as long as you're like you said, they're being honest and they're telling you, you can be like, okay, all right, we're getting somewhere. Let me go get this. Let me go get that.
And then the other thing that I will always remind, I am bringing you my A team. My first 4, these are the 4 best options of what you're asking me for. If you keep going, it's gonna get worse. Mm-hmm. I only have a certain amount of starting lineup. Then we start going to the paw socks, then we start going to the minor leagues, and then that's not the vibe. You want Red Sox at your wedding. You don't want.
It's the same thing my stylist did. She had her dress, like she had it that she thought I was going to wear, but she brought the other one that I flew out there for. But guess what? It was dress 2, which is always her dress 1. Dress 2 was dress I didn't know I needed.
Exactly. We always try to have you start off with the dress that you like the most on the hanger. That's
just to get it out of your system. And maybe it is it, but you just want them to get it out of their system, right?
Absolutely.
And start strong, truthfully. Nothing sounds more miserable to me than trying on something that you don't think you like.
So that first dress, right, off the hanger, what's the percentage of it ends up being the dress? You both laugh. Fill us in.
Honestly, more than half the time, because you're like, this is what I'm sending you. This is what I think I want. Or it's one of those things where it's like you see it and you're like, wow, I'm just so drawn to it for some reason and I just can't explain it, and that feeling that you're already getting from seeing it on the hanger, you're like, wow, I want to try this on. I'm excited about it. And the excitement is what we're looking for. When I see girls dancing and twirling and, trying to bust a move, they're like, can I twerk in this? It's one of, you can just tell the energy.
Well, that's their 8-year-old self coming out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so good because it's like, they're like, oh, do you think that you like this one versus this one? I'm like, I don't want to say this or this because you look smoking in both of them. It's just mostly I'm going based on energies, I can just tell I'm getting goosebumps and I can feel your energy in this. Obviously, it's this one, but I'm not going to say obviously it's this one, but I'm going to be like, what do you think? What are your energy in this? I can tell you're 10 times happier in this one. People think that they need 2 different options to go back and forth between, but they don't. They just think that they do when really they're having such a strong reaction to one of them.
Well, I think that's the thing with the overshopping is the can it get better? Can we go bigger? And I think I think it also is harder to, if you're not shopping with your gut, if you're not shopping with your feelings, it's harder to judge that because you aren't in tune with yourself. And so you maybe, and this happens so much, where, I'll have a bride go to 4 stores in a weekend. They cried at the first store in the 3rd dress they tried on, and they'll come to us and we're just trying to recreate that first moment. And now we found a better dress. We beat that dress from the first store, but now we're not crying and now we're not having that feeling. And they're like, well, it can't be it because I'm not having that feeling. And I'm like, we did it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we had the feeling and not the one. But we had the moment already, you know? And we don't want you to miss your moment. We don't want you to miss this amazing kind of experience that you can give yourself because the idea that there's more out there. It's like finding a man. Channing Tatum still exists. You are marrying your husband. Like
Exactly. And I come from experience to where I'm like, listen, throughout me being engaged, I was engaged for 2 years and then getting married. I'm like, listen, I have to see all of these dresses that come in when I've already said yes a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And I still know, yeah, there's other dresses that are pretty, but that one was mine. Did I have, moments of like mental breakdowns about certain things? Absolutely. But that's just the process.
Right.
I'm like, listen, I have to see dresses all day long. I see all the new inventory that comes in. But did I look great on my wedding day? Did I love my dress? Absolutely.
You have to add in recent events.
So the dress I had in my brain that I was showing every designer that walked through the door, I was like, this is what I want. I feel like I was, ahead of my time, obviously. It was like ruffles and it was an A-line. It was very boho. I'm a very boho bride. And this dress that I've been picturing just came in 2 weeks ago. But I'm like, I just got married last year.
There you go. There you go.
Second wedding. It's fine.
Fair. Well, Justine, of course you're ahead of your time. This is what you do, right? You are a stylist. Well, you better be ahead of your time.
Well, it was funny because, when I started, I was just working at a gym because in between COVID and stuff, I obviously couldn't do events and everything. So I was just working at like this health facility type thing. I was a manager there. But then I saw Alexandra's pop up. And at the time when I was working at the gym, I was also doing styling shoots. So I would buy clothes, I'd style people, they would buy my outfits. And then I saw this, I was like, I get to work with brides and I get to style people. This is incredible. I submitted my thing and then the next day I called like 10 a.m. Boom, as soon as I opened, I was like, hey, did you guys get my application? And they're like, I just walked in. And the manager that's been there for like 10 years at this point, she was like, I just walked in. I was like, I am perfect for this job. Can you guys just like look at my resume? And she was like, oh, wow, great. When can you come in? And I was like, I can come in whenever you want.
Well, see, that's the thing. We want to bring, obviously for the listeners, I'm sure they can just sense both of your energies. And that's what you want on your wedding day when that little 8-year-old girl, like you said, Perry, is looking for the best garment that she's ever going to wear in her life. So what we're going to do, ladies, is let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I would love to talk to you a little bit about trends and some tips about the actual appointment, a little more practical stuff. And then I think I really want to rack your brain about the social media component and what's happening in this world that we're living in right now with that. All right?
Sounds great.
Perfect. I appreciate you being here. And hey, if you like what you're hearing, I encourage you to check out our website at sarahzarella.com. And don't forget, you can actually subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. And I would so appreciate if you left a fabulous review on Apple Podcast. Even better, share it with a friend. It's a great way to show your support. And now, let's get back to the episode. Well, welcome back to Wedding Secrets Unveiled podcast, friends. So before the break, Perry, Justine, and I were talking about the emotional purchase, the very important emotional purchase of your bridal dress, right? But now let's get practical, okay, girls? So give it to me. Let's discuss a little bit about the social media world. And the only reason why I say that is social media drives our industry a lot. So what are you seeing with social media when it has to come with wedding dress shopping?
It has definitely changed the sphere. It's changed a lot of what's going on. I run our social page, so I spend a lot of time doing research, looking at people and them talking about it. I think it is definitely, and probably why we're so terrified of FOMO, is it definitely increases the FOMO. It increases that panic of like, well, they had this perfect vlog moment of going shopping at this perfect place, and it makes it almost impossible for the bride to have that expectation because perfection is not possible. We're all human beings. I think it's great, though, because I think on some level, because it does give people access to education. So you can come in educated. You can come in knowing what you're looking for, knowing what's out there, knowing designer names, and that's amazing. I love that. I'm all for education and making sure that you arm yourself with everything you need to feel comfortable and feel safe, and being able to look up a designer and see their history and understand their opus as a house is amazing,
I feel like it does make it hard when brides are coming in and being like, well, I saw that this person had their bridal journey going to all these different shops and doing all these things and being like, dresses that I didn't choose but tried on and all that stuff. And then they're seeing that and thinking they have to have the same journey. You don't have to have the same journey as someone else. Everybody has different personalities. Everybody, sometimes they go with their gut. Sometimes they do have to. It just all depends. Like, you're not that person, and people think that they need to be that person when they're not.
There's this one TikTok video that I think about whenever we talk about this. It's old now. This is kind of like old news, but it's such a great explanation of it. For anybody listening that is a little more of the alternative emo, Jack Vanek, she did like this super important merch line back in 2012 when I was in high school. She got married like last year or 2 years ago, and it was a big deal. She is a huge influencer now. She has always been, really. And there was this video that she did that went mega viral, and it was every dress I tried on that I didn't say yes to. The video had over 100 dresses in it of every single one. And that video in and of itself, by itself, went viral, and millions of people saw it. The problem is, if you went onto her page and you looked further into it, half of those visits were paid influencer collaborations. The boutique asked her to come in to try on some styles, to show her the store, to have her do a vlog of shopping there. But she included those vote dresses in that post, and it made people think, oh, I should be able to go to all these places. Look what she did. And it's like half of those wouldn't even have been real for her,
Yeah, and there really is that component that you always see, Instagram and reality, TikTok and reality. I mean, but I think like you said, social media is a great tool for research, but ultimately when you're dealing with the emotion, like you said, there is a reality to it, and that's a production. That was a whole production, what she did. That was that wasn't reality. She already had her wedding dress when she was trying on half those dresses, So like you said, it goes back to the three things you want to tell people, don't over shop. Don't. Yeah. So I just found it interesting because I know as a photographer, social media, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, it has creeped into my industry positively and negatively. And again, we, as the professional, we have to just kind of educate someone and say, okay, we can do this picture that you see, but this was also taken in California light, and we're in New England, and our light's not as golden. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But it's or this was taken because they had extra half an hour of time on their wedding day.
It's so funny that you mentioned the coloring of lighting depending on where you are thing, because I talk about this all the time, and people think that I'm insane.
No, it's
but
a real
when
thing.
I have brides who I had a bride who's getting married in Scotland, and she was not sure if she wanted to do a nude lining or an ivory lining. And I was like, you're getting married in Grayville, McGray. Like, it is gray over there. Like, just by nature. Even the sun's out, it's gray. Like, you want to go nude, it's going to look better. If you go pure ivory out there, it's going to look insane. Like, you're going to look like you're floating almost.
No, light is a real thing. Like,
yeah.
Someone can send me a picture, and I will literally say, this was shot in this part of the country. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, well, no lighting. I study it. I mean, and then sure enough, you can look at like the description of it or where it's at. And I'm right. I'm right all the time. You could just tell by the way it reflects off the water. You could tell the way it reflects off the skin. You could tell which area it is because the sun sets in the west and rises in the east. So there's a whole thing there. But anyway, and that's a reflection of lighting. But anyway, we're getting off on a tangent. But with that said, okay, let's talk about the actual bridal appointment. I'm sure you guys have some thoughts on this. Like, who should be there and who should not? I mean, we're going to be honest here. And like, what feedback should you listen to and what feedback should you not?
So for me, I'm just like, well, for a lot of us, we just want to make sure that you have the people there that are going to be the most supportive. You know, we want the people there that you value their opinion. You know, some people want to come in by themselves at first just because they're nervous about other people's opinions, or they just want to test some stuff out. But realistically, if you're coming to our shop, the first time you're probably going to say yes. You know, so we want to make sure that you have all the right people there, you know, and obviously, you know, if whatever parent's important to you that you want to be there, you know, if you want mother-in-law, sister-in-law, whoever, but at the same time, sometimes that becomes overwhelming. You want people there that are going to be in your best interest and are going to support you and tell you, obviously, you know, being very nice about it, but kind of telling you like, oh, you know what, I think that this is more you or whatever. They're there to give their opinion and to be in your best interest.
I think the other thing with this too is I don't think this is it's a quality over quantity thing, but I don't think quantity is a bad thing, which is a very controversial thing for me to say. I don't think anyone would agree with me on that. But if you have 10 people in your life that you want there, and they're all supportive, loving, they get you, and they're happy to be there, bring all 10. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
But because I've had 15 people appointments, like where there's 15 guests, and they were amazing. They all got gold stars that day. But I've had a bride and her mom that I was like, I need to walk away and I need to take a lap. Because it's like, you know, that one-on-one kind of thing is almost worse of that. You know, you can just tell that she's not there to cheerlead her girl on, you know. So it really is. It's also a think about, too, letting your party know what's going to happen. You know, if you are sensitive and you know you're having a hard time just feeling good in your body, it's about sitting your people down and going, I'm sensitive right now. If you have nothing nice to say, we don't say it at all. We're doing Bambi rules, you know. And this is what I'm looking for. This is what I've sent my consultant. I might change my mind, but I think this is exactly what I want, so I don't want to see a bunch of stuff. It's, you know, having that conversation before you even come see me is super important.
I think that a lot of people don't have that conversation, and I feel like they need to, because a girl will come out in a very simple, clean, classic dress. It looks gorgeous, and they're like, oh, this is just too simple. I don't like that. And it's like, okay, auntie, that is your opinion, but this is what she's looking for, you know? So there's always kind of two different sides. Like, we are obviously here to guide them, and we are their professional hype women. I like to call myself the professional hype woman. And I'm here to guide your group as well. So I'll come out and be like, all right, guys, first dress, this is kind of exactly what she sent me. I wanted to see it on her if, you know, she's not really vibing it right now, or I'll be like, she loves this. So it's like you have to kind of play the room, especially if they don't know what she's looking for. She needs to show them and be like, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Like Perry said, you know, I could change my mind, but this is what I personally, for me, is what I thought I was going to want.
And you know what, too? For the listeners, right? Obviously, you all are tuning into this episode because either you are shopping for a dress or maybe you're going with somebody. So there's a great nugget that Justine just told you and Perry just told you. Sit back, relax, and listen. Because like you said, you know, this is a very emotional purchase. So you obviously are there to cheerlead and be honest, but just wait. Take the social cues, because if someone's going to someone like yourselves, right? You guys are stylists. You've already done your research. You've already done a bunch of emails, a bunch of homework with them. You do not want to take get the wheels all coming all off, right? We got to keep going, keeping this train going, right? Forward.
Yep, that's
right?
That is what we were there for.
It's kind of like etiquette, though, too. It's like, I don't know why people feel like there's a reason why people do not tell people the names that they're thinking about naming their children. As a photographer, I don't only do weddings. I do newborn photography. I hear names all the time. I'm usually one of the first ones that know the name because sometimes we have to hold the sign up or do whatever. I don't say a word. Because, like, people don't want to hear your opinion. They don't. And this is why people don't tell people, right? So it's kind of like dress shopping. Like, just be there. Zip it.
Truly. I think a lot of the times, too, for guests and for the bride, this is a very specific bride piece of advice. When you're hearing people give you feedback, it's like showing them a piece of artwork. if contextually you are you love a modern piece of artwork, something funky, something abstract, and I'm showing you like Thomas Kincaid, you're going to think it's ugly. There's nothing about that to you that's going to be visually appealing. It doesn't mean you can't love Thomas Kincaid. It doesn't mean you can't love that piece of artwork because you see the beauty in it and you feel amazing in it. If they don't have the visual context and they don't like what they're looking at, they're going to say something. So you have to just remember, like, art critique is subjective. We are looking at artwork. You can't say like, oh, my mom hates it. Has your mom ever worn a sparkle in her life?
Right. And also, too, it's like your friend or your sister, your sibling, and the person. So if you see her light up, that's it. But, you're also there for real support and being honest. So if you can see her struggling, then you chime in.
Love when they help. I love it.
Yes.
It's my favorite. If I have a little shy bride and she doesn't know what she's doing, and I have like a loud sister who's like, get her in something fitted. She has a great body. I'm like, thank you. We're doing that immediately.
Exactly. All right. So this is a loaded question. So let's go over this before the wrap-up question, because I could sit here, girls, and talk to you all day long, which maybe we'll have to have you on again one day, Talk to me about trends. Oh, I could just tell by your face, Perry. You don't like my question.
I'll let Justine take this.
Oh, okay, fine. Pass off.
Well, I think that, Perry, you should talk about what you wanted to talk about, the AI of it all.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even brought up my favorite thing.
You haven't. I think you
yelling
should.
about AI. I think trends have been great. I mean, I think right now in the sphere, just to give you the thing we want to talk about, we're seeing a very strong renaissance to the early 2000s right now. We're seeing a lot of two very different sides of the coin, a lot of hyper-modest a la Olivia Copo. We're also seeing very scandalous, very sheer, very boning, very sparkle, crazy fun. That side of the coin has not reached New England yet, and I don't think it ever will. I think definitely New England brides are very heavy leaning into that Olivia Cuopo feel, and that is incredible.
For the listeners, too, she's a local well, no, so not everybody knows, okay? So people are like, oh, I mean, because we know because she's from here. She, just so you know, so for the people who are not here, this is someone who was born and raised in Rhode Island. She just got married this past summer. So obviously the trend of what she wore, all eyes are on her, and it's trending this way. It might be going to the West Coast. Where what you're talking about, the other style, that's West Coast coming, or more like New York, I would say, coming this way. But you're right. We're a New England bride. We have a little bit more conservative. But they do pop up. Pop up.
We see a lot more brides trying to do funkier things.
Yep.
Like, I think in my 6 years, I have never seen more brides doing something different, which is awesome. Color's been big, and it's still big, which I am waving flags for.
And also, too, like you said, there's an element. Like we just had a bride this past weekend who had a very classic Olivia type of dress, right? Mm-hmm. But she put some sheer gloves on. She just wanted a little something.
Clean with a twist.
Exactly. But anyway, I interrupted you. I hijacked your question. Go on, Perry.
No, that's okay. But yeah, so that's I think, what we're seeing in big trends right now is that double side of the coin situation. We're seeing a lot of uniqueness. But the thing that Justine was prompting me about is my weird hatred of AI. That's the big trend that I keep seeing is I keep getting people sending me AI photos of wedding dresses.
Oh, God.
And it is so heartbreaking, too, because people are so excited about them. And they're like, I saw this dress. I need this dress. And I'm like, great dress doesn't exist. That is somebody putting a prompt into, Genesis.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
AI is creeping in so many industries. I mean, I could have a whole segment about how it's creeping in my industry, but I didn't even think about that. Like, that doesn't exist. Like, go get a designer. Like, that. You want to talk about me flying to Pennsylvania? This person, you go hire a private designer to do that.
Yeah. It's creeping in very slowly.
Think about that.
Yeah. AI imagery is my white whale. I can't. Because it's really so frustrating for everybody involved because I don't want to burst your bubble. You are excited. And what you're showing me does not exist. And we've always had this to some degree because there's always been like photoshopped designs and like Photoshop's always been a thing. But with the AI, if you don't know how to clock it and you don't know what to look for to see if it is AI or not, it's even worse. Because Photoshop, you could always kind of tell. But
I know the AI is getting really good. It's so funny you say that, but also too, like trends though, like you said, like right now in here we're seeing like you said, a very clean, a lot of coverage, straight lines. Am I going off cuff here? Am I okay? Because that's what I'm seeing. But it's a trend, right? But like you said, there's always exceptions, and a trend is just maybe what we're seeing 50% people wear, and the other 50% of people wearing all different types of things, right? But it's funny because during the break we were just chatting, right, and we were saying, okay, so for like the people who got married, we call a mermaid style. It's tight in the top and it flares off the end. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to tell you what year that was. You could tell sort of what year someone got married by looking at that dress, and I was like, that was 2017. Yeah, right. Like that was around then, right? It was that mermaid flare, and then it's just so funny. Like this, we do see trends float around, because obviously somebody has an influence, and then it happens. But like you said, the fashion world, it's tough to be on trend because it's fashion. They're already one step ahead. So what you're wearing right now was already rolled out a long time ago.
Yeah, because it's trickle down. It's 100%. If you've seen The Devil Wears Prada, the Miranda Priestley, the blue cerulean sweater speech is entirely true and entirely how this all works. And I think for bridal, it's so strange because I think now it's fully being, to tie the social media piece back into it, it's fully now being driven by social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is.
Because we're not getting those like royal wedding-esque celebrity weddings anymore where, when Hailey Bieber got married, the internet like shut down,
And that's the other thing.
Seeing that.
No, and you made a really good point because with fashion, it's driven by Fashion Week and runway but bridal. First off, we have to order dresses in advance. So what you ordered, like you were talking about Justine when you're a wedding, like what you ordered a while ago to be in time. You've seen other things since then, but like you said, it is very much driven by social media. And if you already see it on the social media, it's already happened. So that trend has gone, my friend. So you just have to really wear what you feel comfortable with. But you're right. I just wanted to ask you what you are seeing. So you're seeing the colors. Yeah. You're seeing like the very
3D.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, 3D. 3D's been for a minute, but I think it's starting. Yeah. It's still rocking around. Honestly,
tell our listeners what 3D. I mean, we know. Tell us what that means, because not everybody has started their dress shopping yet. So what's 3D?
Just more of like the textured, a little bit popping out more. It's not that just traditional lace anymore. My girl today, the simple one, she was like, oh, I don't like that particular lace. Yeah, there's only so many different variations of lace that you can really see, and that's when it comes down to there's only so many different variations of clean fitted you can see. There's only so many different variations of lace you can see. And that's where it becomes like once you start putting dresses together, you basically start creating a monster dress out of everything you're seeing. You're trying to put all these components into one, and it basically becomes your AI dress.
Yeah. I think the other little trend thing, I just thought of this, I don't know how this slipped my mind, but all over pattern has been huge.
Yes.
Like brocade, sublimated, printed organza.
Yes.
That has been massive lately. Chantilly's back, which is insane. Chantilly's like a thin, almost vintage-inspired looking lace, but that has been back. Like that came in like gangbusters. Like I have never seen a trend sweep in and just stick as fast as this has.
I got a question for you. What about the bird cage? You think we'll ever get that back?
I did.
The bird cage was like really popular like 10, 12 years ago. I don't know. It came in, it came out.
What's the? It was something core. It was like not grandma core, but it was something. I'm gonna. Is it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know the exact thing, but in my brain, I just want to say Zooey Deschanel core because that's
kind of
twee. You're talking about twee?
It's my bride. One time, she was like, "I want to be like not cottage core, but it was like something." Like it was very just like vintagey with the bird cage and stuff. So she got this like really vintage dress, and then her photo just had a bird cage on it. And this was like maybe a year and a half ago.
Yes.
So it's there's always going to be a few.
I just was wondering because, like you said, you guys see things come and go, and then I see them because I'm photographing them, so you see them first. But anyway, with that said, it's time for a wrap-up question, right? So what are some key points that couples should be asking their bridal boutique or, dress shop companies when they're inquiring to make sure that they're going to be working with a professional company to make their wedding day absolutely perfect. Or their stylist, like just making sure that their process that they're starting out is going to be perfect.
I think genuinely asking the boutiques, we haven't talked about price at all at any point in this, but but truly like asking what the boutique's price point is and really like digging a little further than just going, what's your price range? And then taking that as is, asking where they sit predominantly, where they feel the most confident with the bride price point wise, and asking yourself where you feel comfortable and having that really honest conversation. And I think truthfully, calling, DMing, but just looking at them on social media and seeing the vibe of the shop, seeing the dresses they're showing, seeing, the brides that have been tagged of previous weddings. And, if you are, let's say, a vintage kind of low key laid back bride and you're on a shop that looks like they're doing, a lot of very traditional, classic, clean styles, and they're not really showing a ton of those like lacier options, that might not be a boutique for you, and that's okay. I think that's also maybe a question just to tell yourself, like, it's okay that a salon isn't right for you, because there are certain boutiques that really narrow in to their demo. And even just asking them, like, what's your ideal bride? What's the bride that you want to walk in and have it just feel like it's like butter for you? Mm-hmm. I know for Alexandra's, like, it's any bride. We got you. You're looking for a wedding dress. We definitely have it. But
well, like you said, we haven't, Perry, talked about price. So before we kind of wrap up the show, there is a wide range of prices. But I'm talking about, and it depends on each area that you are in the country. But in this area, what is the average price point that you should be looking at to be setting aside for a budget? Obviously, people are going to do what's comfortable for them, but realistically, the app doesn't mean it's at your boutique or another, but the average price point for a gown.
Well, it also just depends on what you're looking for. If you want a fully beaded gown, it's going to be a little bit more. Like, there's more detail. That's always kind of the hardest part, with that, because a completely simple dress might, cost a little bit less.
I think in my head, I can do a lot under $2,500. So, like, if you said, like, if you came to me and you said, like, I want to spend about $2,000, maybe a little bit over, don't hit 25. I can do a lot with that.
That's a realistic expectation for what you guys are working with.
I can make a lot happen with that. I think if the further, and I can make a lot happen at any point.
Understand.
I think that's where I would be like, whew, no sweat, The closer we creep back down to 15 is where it gets a little bit like,
yeah, you limit your choices, but everybody's budget's different. So 25 is just a really nice, comfortable wiggle room. Holy shit. I'm just realizing, like, excuse my language, but my God, that flight to Pennsylvania was very expensive because what I paid for my dress is just... And it was very simple, Justine. So what was the
designer.
And it was also the silk.
It was the fabric. The designer, because if you're going to like more couture designers, it doesn't matter if it's a bag.
But it was a very emotional purchase, and like we talked about at the beginning of the show, ultimately, we have a budget for the whole day. So if you're going to spend in one area, you're going to have to take it back in the other. And I had to do that. I mean, I spent a lot of money on my dress. I don't regret it. But you know what? I had to sacrifice in other categories.
Exactly. And I will say, too, if you are going in with a budget, let us know realistically if it's that or if it's that with alterations. Because that becomes really almost frustrating to us, where they're like, my budget's 25, and then the dress is like 21 or 24 or something like that, and then they're like, oh, well, I was really hoping to be that with alterations. And I'm like, listen, I could have got you a really good dress under way more under that if I knew that that was what I was working with,
But I think you guys left people with a good solid, like, okay, if I want something to play around with, let me save up to get into that $2,500 range. And also, too, taking in mind that it's also with alterations or with, like Yeah.
I think the big thing, just to even add in, because I always feel so bad doing this, because I think, truthfully, it can happen at any price point. And to your degree of saying, like, oh, that's crazy, like what I paid, like when I got my dress.
I don't
versus
regret
now.
it, though. I really don't.
But we have seen so many different price increases over the last couple of years because of just different things, cost of shipping, cost of materials, et cetera, inflation, So it's hit us as well. And I think that it makes us feel even worse, because I'm like, I don't know how to explain that to you. Your sister got married 4 years ago, and we're looking at the exact same designer that your sister said yes to, and this dress is like $400 more than what your sister's dress was. Yeah. And so it's kind of almost, it's harder to gauge like that. So I think too, like in asking boutiques, like asking questions like that of like, hey, you carry Essence of Australia, like where does your average Essence of Australia gown sit? Mm-hmm. That could be really helpful for you if you're looking at a specific designer,
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Wedding Secrets Unveiled. You ladies helped our listeners become one step closer to their stress-free wedding planning. Can you tell everybody where they could find you?
So you can find us, Alexandra's Boutique, at 372 South Main Street, Fall River, Massachusetts. Give us a call at 508-679-8770 and follow us on Instagram at Alexandra's Bridal Boutique.
Which we've now learned, Perry, runs it.
Yes.
Run the social media end.
You can say hi to me on the DMs. I will say hi back. I'd love that.
She's amazing.
Yay. Well, girls, thank you so much.
Of course. It was so great meeting you.
Yay. We had so much fun.
Thank you for listening to Wedding Secrets Unveiled. I appreciate you being here. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, I want to tell you something. I encourage you to check out our website at sarahzarella.com. We love photographing while having fun, of course. Check out our podcast page on our website for our show notes along with upcoming episodes with your local wedding experts. Listen in as we help you plan your epic event. And don't forget that you can actually subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. I would so appreciate if you left a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Even better, share it with a friend. It's a great way to show your support and let us know what you think. If you know any wedding experts that would like to be a guest, we have a link directly on our website where they can let us know. Thank you for listening.